Check. There we go. Okay, cool. Got it. So I need to make it hot?
Yeah.
I'll go ahead.
From AM 1680, this is Business Leaders with Lance Cardoza, the behind-the-scenes story of the business shakers and movers in the Valley and beyond. And now, here's your host, Lance Cardoza.
Not in the headphones, but we hear ourselves everywhere inside the studio. We still can't hear here, but we're good. We should be getting a call in here shortly. Thank you for joining me. It's every Tuesday morning right here on Talk Radio 1680 KGED. We have Business Leaders Live. And it's a special show this week. Like I was saying on Facebook Live, we stream live on Facebook right here on Talk Radio 1680 KGED. And what I'm excited about on this show is I have Ancient Peaks Winery coming on the show. And I love to feature local. And I had Stephanie Baruzian. It was from KC24. You'd know her right there in the evening news. And Stephanie's probably... she's probably not listening because she's on the air late at night, but she listens to the show. She catches it from time to time, but Stephanie's like, oh no, what is he going to say? And Mark, her husband, and now she's really getting nervous because I brought Mark into it. He says, Lance, it was a Super Bowl party. He said, have you tried this wine, Ancient Peaks? And it almost had like a calcium taste to it, like oysters or something was in the wine. And this vineyard is over on the coast, and a gentleman's going to come on the show, Mike Sinor, is the winemaker there for Ancient Peaks. And I got lucky enough through a friend, Italian restaurant here in Tower called Oggi's. And everybody knows Oggi's and Louis Magliaria. If you've gone and had some incredible Italian food down by the Tower, Oggi's is the place. Incredible Italian food, and the wine is great. And I mentioned Ancient Peaks one time, and he goes, hey, I know that guy. He came in and he had dinner here. One of the winemaker, owner, somebody. Let me put you in contact with these guys. So Louis, just a week ago, puts me in contact with a guy. I'm a big fan of their wine. He says, yeah, I want to come on your show and talk about it. So he also has a vineyard himself, and he is the winemaker, the chief winemaker for the Ancient Peaks Winery, and they have a beautiful place over there, and I look forward to going over and seeing it. So we're going to have him on the show, but like I was saying, shortly we should have Zara Arboleta calling in here, and we're going to talk about Kids Day. And Kids Day helping out Valley Children's Hospital. The Fresno Bee's very involved. There's a lot of stakeholders in the Valley that are very connected to Kids Day, and you can't help to drive around and find a newspaper somewhere on a corner. But today, David, and I was telling you, David in the studio, I'm driving in, and I can't find anybody with a paper, but, I can't even find anybody with an umbrella, something. It's been one of those rainy mornings, and I don't think we're prepared to deal with rain all the time here in the Valley, but we're getting a lot of water here in California, and Fresno's getting a lot of water. So this morning I couldn't find a Kids Day paper, and I'm thinking, I'm going to be going Facebook Live. I've got to have a Kids Day paper, and here I am, and I don't have a Kids Day paper, but I guarantee you today someone is going to approach me and be able to get that Kids Day paper. I've been noticing out at Celebrity Corner there on Blackstone, right there at Blackstone in what is it? The Shaw? Is it Blackstone and Shaw where they have the celebrity corner? All morning, there's been a lot of people and a lot of volunteers. There's a lot of people that come out to support this event, and I know that Children's Hospital, they look forward to this every year. This is a big, not only a time to raise money, but it's a time also to deliver the message of what they do and what they're doing for the community. So with their partners, with the Fresno Bee, this has been going on for many years. It's a big thing here in our valley. So look forward to having them on there. Hopefully Zara, I know they've been dealing with rain all morning, so I don't know if she's called in yet on the phone. But Zara should be calling in here shortly, and we'll talk to her. She's the Director of Communications for Valley Children's Healthcare, so she'll be coming on here in just a moment, and we'll talk about that. But every Tuesday morning, I bring you Business Leaders Live at 9 a.m., and then also at lancecardoza.com, you can listen to past episodes of Business Leaders Live, and then you're able to follow our past episodes as well. So we don't have Zara calling in yet. No Zara yet. But what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll have the winemaker, like I was saying, from Ancient Peaks call in here shortly and be talking about what they do over on the coast. And if anybody else chimed in, go on to Facebook Live. If you've been to this place, I want to go check it out. But there's a couple vineyards that this gentleman that's calling in, Mike Sinor, that he runs his own vineyard on several acres, but he also is the chief winemaker for Ancient Peaks. And I'm very interested in their process. You know, as I tasted this wine at first, when I was talking to, again, Stephanie Berusian's husband, that's what he's known as. You know, his name's Mark, and as Mark, and we have somebody on the line here. I'm not sure who we have, but we'll find out. Is it Zara Arboleta on the call? So we have Zara. No, and we're bringing from Ancient Peaks. So Zara's out there. She's selling papers. She doesn't have time for us right now. So she's out hustling. Let's bring on the show right now. He's the head winemaker. He's the guy that takes care of the flavor and the taste that I love from Ancient Peaks. Mike Sinor. Mike's on the show with Business Leaders Live. Mike, how are you doing?
Very well, Lance. How you doing today?
Doing good. I'm very excited to chat with you and talk to you about the process that it takes to make this wine. I was telling the listeners and the viewers here on Facebook Live on Talk Radio 1680 KGED about, I was introduced to this wine about 2 years ago, and I'm at a Super Bowl party. Stephanie Berusian, as I was saying, it was her party that she was having, and her husband was raving about this wine and said they went over to the coast and they got to experience the vineyard, and it had this oyster or calcium taste to it that it's identifiable. And at first I thought, yeah, okay, whatever. And I tried it, and I'm a fan, and I love it. Ancient Peaks is what it's called, and you're the winemaker there at Ancient Peaks, correct, Mike?
Yes, Lance. I'm in charge of winemaking. We actually started the company back in 2006 together.
Okay, 2006. Okay.
So, yeah, we're located in Santa Margarita, California. So it's just above it's the top of the Cuesta Grade. So, you know, coming over from the valley, if you're hitting Pismo or Avila, it's that last town before San Luis before you drop down the Cuesta Grade. We're right off the highway there.
Right off the highway. You're off the left of the highway, correct? Right up against the mountainside area?
That's correct. If you're coming from Fresno, it's right to the left. Take the Santa Margarita exit.
I know, right where you are. So, and then the vineyards are back in that canyon area, correct? Or are they right there?
They're in the canyon a little bit. It's on a little bit of a slope. In fact, the ranch, the Santa Margarita Ranch, is actually 14,000 acres these three families own. So it's quite a piece of land here in California.
Beautiful. And then how did you get in, Mike? How did you get into this business of, what a beautiful job. you're out there in the vineyard and you're making wine, and it's a very exceptional wine. It's a very different wine. It has I think a very exciting backstory to it and its flavor. So I'd like to talk about that. But how did you get into that?
You know, I grew up in Visalia. You know, my dad actually worked in Fresno. He had a construction equipment company. Actually owned Schmidt's Auto Wrecking back in the day in Fresno, and I grew up in just a typical Valley guy, but I knew I wanted to live at the beach, man, so I worked hard. Not so much in high school. I had too much of a good time in high school, but I went to COS and managed to get into Cal Poly. And right when I got there, a friend of mine was working at a winery. And I thought, man, that sounds cool. I'm 21. I like to have a good time.
Yeah.
So I literally just signed, got an interview and got the job in 1991. And within 2 months, Lance, I realized what I was going to do for the rest of my life. And I realized where I was going to do it. And I just fell in love with this business and here in San Luis Obispo County.
Wow. So you're going to school, COS, College of Sequoias. I was there too. And you were just right around that same time frame. And then you go over to the coast. And so when you got over there, was Ancient Peaks the brand then, or was that a brand that came down the road?
Yeah, no, I helped start that in 2006. So,
Okay.
I mean, gosh, 28 years ago, I got in the business. 27 years ago, I got in the business and working for another winery in the Edna Valley. So, just behind Pismo, everybody's, Paso Robles is a great region. That's where Ancient Peaks is from. But we also have a small region just about 5 miles from Pismo Beach called the Edna Valley in Arroyo Grande Valley. We've got about 25 wineries there. And so that's where I ended up putting myself through Cal Poly, working for 6 different wineries as a part-time kid, Good times.
And what a place to go to school too. Cal Poly, beautiful over there. So you find out that's God's country. That's where you're going to stay, and you're over there with Ancient Peaks. When we come back, we're going to take a short break, Mike. But when we come back, I want to talk about the tasting room and the activities with Ancient Peaks. We want to get into sort of why Ancient Peaks is special when we're talking about that special taste to it. And you also have a winery of your own, and we'll get into that when we come back. I have Mike Sinor, and I'm saying your last name correctly, Mike, right?
Yep, Lance, you're nailing it perfectly, man.
Perfectly, nailing it. Winemaker there at Ancient Peaks. We'll be right back with more Business Leaders Live. You're listening to Talk Radio 1680 KGED. We'll be right back. I had you on mute there at Facebook Live, so we brought you back. So Mike Sinor is on the show, and he's the chief winemaker and part of the ownership that developed Ancient Peaks. Also, he has a brand of wine too, where he has a vineyard over there. But they also have a great experience, a great tasting room, and again, the Brugians introduced me to it and said they had a fun time, and the wine is really good. So I'm looking forward to going over there, and it's before the grade. So you're going over the grade, and you're going over into, I believe that would be San Luis Obispo. So just before the grade, you get off the freeway there on the left, and there was a winery right up against the hillside, and I remember always looking at it. I didn't realize it was Ancient Peaks all this time. But they're really a great wine. Mike's on the Facebook Live. Thanks for having me on. And always my mom. She's on the show. David. She's always giving me garbage. Like, your hair's messed up. No, she doesn't do that. 5 seconds.
You are listening to Business Leaders with Lance Cardoza, the behind-the-scenes story of the business shakers and movers in the Valley and beyond. Once again, here's Lance Cardoza.
Welcome back, everybody, to Talk Radio 1680 KGED. Every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., I love talking to business leaders throughout the Valley and abroad. And this gentleman's over at the coast, and we envy him for that. You know, he's enjoying that probably beautiful weather today, and we've got some rain, but we love the rain. The rain's here. But I have David Sinor on the show, and he's part of the ownership and the winemaker that's created this wine, Ancient Peaks. But David's from the Valley. Grew up... or Mike, what did I say? David. David's sitting in the studio. Mike, I'm sorry. So David's looking at me going, no, his name's Mike.
Sure.
Mike Sinor. Mike goes to school, Visalia. Did you grow up in Visalia?
I did. I graduated Mount Whitney in 1988.
Mount Whitney. Good. And so then you go to COS College, and they don't have a winemaking class there. But you...
No. I went to COS and Cal Poly to be a high school teacher.
Oh,
I wanted to teach shop class, man. That was my jam in high school. I loved shop class.
My sister is the teacher over there, and she teaches over, I believe it's Mount Whitney High School, and she's the metal shop teacher. So she the welding classes. Yes.
Oh man, that's so cool, man.
Tully Cardoza. So yeah, I'm going to have to send her over to Ancient Peaks into your winery, because they love a little wine, and she's the teacher there in Visalia. She's been there for some time now. So it's funny.
Oh, that's a great connection. Can't wait to follow up.
Funny, full circle. So you, so the experience with Ancient Peaks, when I tried it the first time at that Super Bowl party, it truly had exactly what Mark had described to me. When I was tasting it, there was this calcium, this oyster taste to it. There was something, and they talked about it being in the soil on the coast. Can you talk to us a little bit about that and why that makes Ancient Peaks and the wine over the coast so special?
Oh, certainly. You know, I mean, that's really, Lance, the passion of wine is that when done well, it represents place, okay? And so when, you know, a great banana tastes good, but a great wine, you can actually pick up where it's coming from, and it's exactly what you experienced at that Super Bowl party. You know, there's friends of mine in the business, you know, sommeliers. There's a movie called Somm, and I've had good friends of mine, master sommeliers, taste a wine at a party, a gathering, not know what it is, and he or she can say, okay, this is the vintage, this is the region, this is the vineyard, and this is the winemaker. And very often they're correct, because wine speaks of place. And so that's what you experienced. And at Ancient Peaks, our soil is very unique. We have these fossilized oyster shells. They're anywhere from 8 to 13 million years old. And it is just a special place to grow wine. And you know, today, I mean, I have the honor to lead the winemaking team. 3 families own the ranch and the winery. But actually, it's Robert Mondavi from Napa Valley was the guy who saw the vision, you know, 25 years ago. And he actually started planting the vineyard.
It started the vineyard back then, okay.
Yeah.
So Mondavi, everybody knows the name. Yeah, he's been around many, many years.
Oh, yeah. In fact, I used to work for him. So,
okay.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with Robert Mondavi's family. And they, anyway, so they came to town, and they actually took a lease from the owners, the 3 guys who owned the ranch, their families. And, you know, they just wanted to grow grapes. But then Robert Mondavi sold his company so that the 3 families then purchased the lease back in 2005. And then we partnered up in 2006, and that's when we started Ancient Peaks. And so Ancient Peaks Vineyard was originally planted by Robert Mondavi, but today it's owned by 3 families, and it's a small boutique winery now. So
I was looking at Ancient Peaks, a video online, and Gustavo, if you can show that picture of the three gentlemen standing in the vineyard, and one of those gentlemen, and this is on Facebook Live, and you can also join Business Leaders Live on the Facebook Live with Talk Radio 1680 KGED and over the air, and also online at my1680.com. But these three gentlemen in the image here on the Facebook Live, one is yourself, Mike, and that's one of the family members too. That's Doug, right, in the center?
That's correct. Doug Filippone is one of the three owners of the Santa Margarita Ranch.
Perfect. And then you also have one of the vineyard manager gentleman in the picture too. What I felt when I saw the video, and I'm wrapping my head around the experience that when you go there to Ancient Peaks, it's a big family experience. And a lot of the comments on Yelp were talking about how welcome people felt and what a family experience. They felt like they were going out and visiting somebody out on the ranch.
That's really what it is. We have a winery, we have vineyards, but these guys also have an adventure company, one of the largest zipline companies in North America, actually. You can come and enjoy some wine, but also come out to the ranch and ride one of the largest zip lines and enjoy the ranch too,
A zip line over the top of the vineyards, or is that how it
yes.
works? Oh, wow.
There's actually 6 distinctive separate zip lines. It's almost a 2.5-hour tour, and the last line actually is called the Pinot Express because it goes over some Pinot Noir, and you get to finish your experience by ziplining over the vines, in which you can afterwards go in and taste some wine in the tasting room that were grown on those vines.
Now, to do that zip line, I think I'd probably want to taste the wine first and be able to get me prepared to get up there in that harness and fly across over these vineyards. But maybe you should flip the script on that one on some people.
Yeah,
it'll get me up there.
People do a little liquid courage, but it's super safe. You got a great track record. It's a really fun experience.
Very cool. No, the zip lines are great. My daughter probably, when she listens to the show, she's going to beg me to go. She's the adventure one. She loves it. And that's all there at the vineyards and the tasting room. So and you were talking about the ancient. So in the soil, and that's oysters and everything from the sea life in that soil. It's all over the coast, correct? In that area. That's why when you're saying by a region, people can taste that region and where that wine's coming from.
Oh, without a doubt. That's really, when you look at from a global perspective, Google Earth perspective, Paso is right pretty much on the San Andreas Fault. So we have these two tectonic plates coming together. And, being from the valley myself, the valley soil is very fertile. Obviously, we all know the world's largest, kind of agricultural experience. But over here on the coast, it's a lot more more hilly, and it's diverse. And so you can travel, 50 feet, 100 feet, and you get an entirely different soil profile because two tectonic plates are crashing together. And so, we have as a company called Whalebone Winery because they have an actual 2 fossilized whale bone, skeletons out in their field.
Oh, wow. And you think about it, a lot of that land where you were was under the sea. It was
exactly. That's exactly right. In fact, those oyster shells, we know it's a prehistoric species of oysters, but oysters do not grow in anything deeper than about 30 to 40 foot of water. So at some point, that was where the ocean was at, and it came in at Salinas, and it stopped in Santa Margarita. So the Santa Lucia mountain range was actually a peninsula.
Okay.
And long time ago.
And a long time ago. So it's not happening anytime soon, people. So don't get But it's incredible that you really do taste it. And I didn't believe it until I tasted it. And it was great that they gave me that profile before I tasted it because I wouldn't have known what I was probably tasting when I did. But it's Ancient Peaks, and probably have several different varieties. I've tried the Merlot, the Zinfandel, the Cab was great. But I noticed there's all sorts of different products that you have with Ancient Peaks alone.
We do, and again, in this business of wine, we kind of run we've got we call it direct consumer, our tasting room. So there we've probably got 12 to 15 wines that you can enjoy. Some of them are blends. Some of them you can only buy in the tasting room. About half those wines you can only buy in our tasting room in Santa Margarita. And then for distribution, we're actually, pretty well distributed company. We've had a lot of success in this business. We've been very blessed. And so we actually have right now we've got one of our blends in every Princess cruise ship, and we're in 30 or 40 states around the country, and we distribute 6 wines on that channel of business. So you can find our Zinfandel, our Merlot, and in Fresno too. My buddy Vate got the cracked pepper over there.
Yep, cracked pepper, Vate. Yeah,
he does a great job, man. He's always selling the wine, and great supporter. Benevide's been a great supporter over there.
And OG's, of all people, I don't know if you caught that at the top of the show, Louis Magliaria, he's got OG's Italian restaurant. He's the one that said, I saw Ancient Peaks on his counter. And I said, you got Ancient Peaks? And he goes, Ancient Peaks? I said, yeah. We were chatting back and forth. And he goes, I know the guys. And I believe Chris Coppola, he had mentioned, and that's how we connected. It was Louis from OG's. So it's great, these privately owned restaurants, these boutique restaurants that are carrying some of those local brands and carrying those brands that everybody loves. And I was getting ready to tell Louis, too, I want Ancient Peaks. You need to get Ancient Peaks in here. And I was very excited when I saw it there on the counter.
Thanks to Coppola, man. That guy's a rock star, man. I love working with him.
He's great. He's great. Louis calls him and says, hey, Francis, call me back. I'm like, Francis Ford Coppola? And he goes, no, I call him Francis. His real name, I think, is Chris. Louis is a character. Michael, we come back. I know you also have a vineyard yourself, and you have a brand of wine. We want to talk about that, too. We'll be right back with Mike Sinor, and he's with Ancient Peaks. We'll be right back. A winemaker. Facebook Live, thank you for joining me. Well, got to bring the mic back over. Thank you for joining us. I know you got some questions on here. I'll get to some of the questions. We'll be right back. If you've got a question for Mike, too, put it on Facebook Live, and I'll be able to ask it here right on the air. And also go to Business Leaders Live. You can get all the past episodes by going to lancecardoza.com. Mike K., thank you for staying with us here on the show.
No worries, man. All good.
Cool. We'll put anything you want to talk about when we come back from this break on this next segment? You're getting a sneak peek here at Facebook Live. Anything, Mike, you want to talk about on your wine? Oh, we lost Mike. I hit the wrong button. They don't let me press buttons. I'll let them know right here. All right, we'll have him back on here in a little bit. He's called in already? All right, we'll have him back. Mike, you back there?
I'm back. Sorry about that.
Hey, no problem. Anything about your wine when we come back? Anything that we want to get into?
Just specific that we got to take. We have our own vineyard in Avila Beach. You can see the ocean, and we have a tasting room.
Very
and my
cool.
wife and I got married in Burgundy in '96. So.
Oh, cool. We'll fly that image that you sent us about the wine there, and then
cool.
I'll talk to you also about the process, because I'm sure it was a big learning curve for you, because you're going to school become a high school teacher. 1 minute away. We'll be right back.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then we'll get into that. We'll talk about that on the show. I like to talk about trials, tribulations, on how business people found their way, figured out what their passion was.
I'd love to. That's a great subject.
Cool. We'll be back here in just a moment. What do you think, David? We run it like a 3-ring circus here.
Just like I usually had it going on.
You just got to be ready to roll.
Yeah. Never goes the way you want it to be.
I always tell people, 10 seconds away. It's not always going to be perfect, but it's what do you do when things don't go right that matters. Then you just keep moving. 5 seconds.
Giving you the inside story of business leaders in the Valley and beyond. This is Business Leaders with Lance Cardoza.
Welcome back, everybody. On the phone, I have Mike Sinor, and Mike Sinor is the winemaker. He makes some of the wine that I really like, and we've been talking about Ancient Peaks and the experience that Ancient Peaks has over on the coast. And this is just before you're getting into San Luis Obispo, before the grade, off to the left side of the highway coming from Fresno. You'll see it right there on the hillside there. There's a winery, and I've driven by it thinking, I want to have time to stop there. And now that I know it's Ancient Peaks, I'm really going to stop over there. Zip lines, incredible experience, Mike. Mike, you there?
Yeah, I'm back.
Oh, there you go. So we're talking about the experience over at Ancient Peaks, but we're also wanted to talk about you have a vineyard yourself that's over on Avila Beach, correct?
We do. My wife and I actually got married in Burgundy in 1996 and started our own winery in 1997. So we have our own small brand. It was so small it was hardly there because I'm not come from a family with means. Or I'm not a retired doctor or surgeon.
Yeah.
So it's not, Ancient Peaks is my day job, but those guys, as I kind of taught them wine and grapes, they taught me business, and so. We were so successful with Ancient Peaks in the wine business. My wife and I bought our own ranch in Avila Beach.
Oh, in Avila Beach. So the winery where is it adjacent to Avila Beach? So if you're coming in through Avila, which is a beautiful little town that's sort of, it went through its trials and tribulations, but really it's turned out to be a crown jewel of that town in Avila, just before Port St. Louis, correct?
Exactly. Yeah, no, if you're coming from Fresno, you make a right turn on San Luis Bay Drive to get to Avila, and that's actually our ranch on the right-hand side. So we bought the Bassi Vineyard. It's a ranch. It's actually a home development, so a few neighbors own some homes around it, but we've got 112 acres of land there. We farm about 30 acres of grapes right there on 101 and San Luis Bay Drive.
And Gustavo's going to, if you'll fly the image of their wine that they have for Mike, we'll put the image up here shortly. They're working on something over there, but we'll fly that on Facebook Live here shortly, and it's coming up right now. But that's your brand that you have. Go ahead, guys. There you go. That's your brand there. And I've noticed you got the skull, the cow skull on there. And is that the reflection of the ranch?
It is. It's a bison head. That's actually. It's a sparkling wine we do called Ancestral. And so my father actually shot that bison head. I have the bison head here at the winery. And then a young lady working for me, she painted an original oil painting. And then so that's the label for our Ancestral, which is a sparkling Pinot Noir.
Now, give me the name of this brand, your personal brand. It's your last name, but also a second name, correct? Is that the name of the brand of the wine?
Correct. So the company is called Sinor-LaVallee, and LaVallee is my wife's maiden name.
That's what I was thinking. I wasn't sure, but so it's Sinor-LaVallee, and a very pretty bottle. Very nice. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a very personal experience in our company and our relationship with wine, all these years. And so, in fact, on our Sinor-LaVallee bottles, it has our name on it, but on the front label, on the left is my thumbprint, on the right is my wife's thumbprint, and in the back is our children's thumbprints all along the back label.
On the bottle. Very cool, yeah. Very cool. Love it. So it's very personal to you and very, I can tell it's a passion, but you're going over there as a student to become a high school teacher from Visalia, California. You go over to Cal Poly, and you're finding your way and you're trying to figure out what you're going to end up doing. What was that turn in your life that said, hey, I want to make wine?
Since junior high, I've always wanted to love what I do for a living. And so I decided to be a teacher when I was 16 years old in Mount Whitney. I said, you know what? I was so terrible in high school. I figured I wanted to teach, And so, I've really been very personally driven by loving what I do and following your passion. And so I wanted to be a high school teacher, but I found this wine business, and I realized I was kind of made for it. I'm kind of a short guy. I'm kind of strong, and everything that I had done in my life up to that point helped me get jobs and be good at this business of wine. So I just really found, I just said, hey, look, this is my new thing when I was 21 years old. And I just really focused on it and, just really got into it. But again, my style is I'm not an academic. I'm not I'm just very physical. It's from working in the junkyard in Fresno. It's growing up in Visalia. I'm very physical. So I put myself through Cal Poly working for 6 different wineries, mowing their lawns, house sitting for them, babysitting their children, but also working in their wineries and working in their vineyards too.
And just doing what it takes to learn and get in there. And I tell young people that all the time. You never know what your passion is, but you need to get out there and just experience. Experience as much things as you can experience, because you can set your course no matter what. You can say, this is what I'm going to end up doing, or this is what I want to end up doing. And you find that there's this new passion, this new love of something you're really good at. And sometimes you're not just really good at it, you become really good at it with a lot of practice and a lot of passion behind it. And I think a lot of young people think it's just going to happen for them. I want to be this, or therefore it's going to happen. So I love to always mentor young people and tell them, experience as much as you can. And a lot of times just get out there and do it. At first, like you, a lot of work. It's mowing the lawn. It's doing all the little things. But then look where you are. You're doing something you're passionate about. You love it. And it started from just you getting in there and hustling.
Exactly. That's what I always talk about is don't be afraid to fail, because and once you find what you love, then you don't need the immediate gratification of being the boss or being the top person. You realize, hey, look, I'm going to do this for my whole life, so let's go slow and figure out every aspect to it. And that was just how I was raised, and I did so poorly in high school and in academics. I mean, I was really bad. So I just had to fight and had to grind it out and just absolutely learn it from the bottom up, because I just knew I wanted to do it my whole life. And so I wasn't in a rush to just start my own company or have my own label. I really took my time, and I think that's a key part of when you're following your passion, is realizing that you're going to do it a long time. So it's important to know each step as you go.
Exactly. And I think a lot of times too, it's funny that you're saying you were really bad in school. I was the same way. I was a dreamer, and I was looking at so many different things out there. And it's funny that then you wanted to become a teacher, because I wanted to do the same thing. Then I wanted to become a teacher, because I think I just wasn't really good at it in school. So I thought, well, maybe this is my way of making up for it. I don't know. But then found out that wasn't the way to go too. We're live on Facebook Live also at Talk Radio 1680 KGED. And I want to also recognize the people online. And we have people from all over the country. And you've probably heard of Ancient Peaks, and you're getting it at your stores across the country. Nancy from Louisiana has said hi. And we have people from everywhere. Ancient Peaks, the company where you're the winemaker and you have developed that wine, and then you have your wine. Where can you find Ancient Peaks across the country? Is it everywhere? Is it only in the Western United States? Where do we find that, Mike?
It is. We're in about 40 plus states around the country. So we're in all major markets around the country. In fact, Doug Filipponi and Carl Wickstrom just got back from Dallas, Texas, where we had a nice showing and won a big award. And so they flew in and received a award there. And so, yeah, it's in every state. Not every state, but it's in about 40 states. And it's out there for sure. Okay.
And so we were talking about going to school and trying to find your way, and then you ended up getting over there and doing that. Do you find with younger people that show up and they're going to be a winemaker, and a lot of times they have all the answers? And the solution
certainly. I mean, it's funny. I'll be turning 50 next year, so I definitely, have that sort of. And the way I was raised, how I was in the Valley, I definitely come from an older guard. Obviously, I'm Generation X, but the people, the young ones, it's hard. It's just they were raised in different environments, as my kids were too, and so they definitely a sense of. Obviously, we talked about entitlement to young people, but often they're not all like that. And I think we all go through that stage in life, but especially academics, that's what's, I think, unique now is we've got Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, UC Davis and Fresno State, bringing us, 30 to 40 grads a year.
Yeah.
And that's where sometimes there is some disconnect between academics and business because, again, rightfully so, the academics are very proud of where they work, but often the kids come out and they're kind of like, oh, no, I went to this school and this is what I need to do. And you're like, oh, really?
Really? Yeah, really. Well, here's the lawnmower.
Yeah, I continue to see that, but
and I think and that's part of that sense of entitlement. A lot of times too, they think I put that blood, sweat, and tears behind this, and I got that education, and it does give you that leg up. It really does. But I tell people, even during the process of going through school, there's nothing like getting out there and doing it at the same time. So go out there and intern and learn what that business is about. And sometimes it's just mowing the lawn, but being all ears during that time. And we're going to take one more break, Mike, and we'll come back. I want to talk about when you got in the business and you became all ears, because you probably had some really good mentors along the way, and being all ears and what that did for you to get your real life education right there in the vineyard and right there in the business. And if we could just get into that a little bit and talk about how that developed you as a winemaker, and how does someone start to become a winemaker today? How does that happen? And there might be somebody in that midlife crisis that says, I'm tired of being a doctor, or I'm getting ready to retire, and I do want to start my own winery over at Avila. Mike, how do I do it? So we'll talk about that when we come right back. I have Mike Sinor. Mike Sinor's with Ancient Peaks. And Mike, one more time, because your wife's maiden name of your wine, your brand.
Yeah, Sinor-LaVallee.
Sinor-LaVallee. And they can find you where? We'll be right back. We'll talk about that when we return with Business Leaders Live.
Thank you.
The Green New Deal. Darling, is the wind blowing today? I'd like to watch television. You can get us Hillary Clinton's email. The Attorney General says, I'm going to recuse myself. Russia, 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 Russia. How do you get to Europe? We haven't figured that one out yet. We don't use airplanes anymore. I should have saved the Pocahontas thing for another year.
Leave it right here on Talk Radio 1680 KGED.
34 million Americans smoke. That's about 1 in 7 people. Not every smoker wants to continue using cigarettes. Juul was designed by smokers for smokers to be a satisfying alternative to cigarettes.
Okay, cool.
Juul is a vapor product that contains nicotine for a satisfying transition. If you're one of the 34 million adults who smoke, know that there is an alternative to
Every
cigarettes.
time I touch the buttons,
Make
bad
the
things
switch
happen.
at Juul.com. That's JUUL.com. Warning. This product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal. We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who will get the IRS off your back.
We saved our home and overcame the most powerful collection agency in the world.
Call Tax Solutions now. Time is running out.
All right, guys, we're about 2 minutes away, and we'll be right back for the final segment. 1 minute away here, and I'll get to your questions. And let's take a look here.
7?
Yeah, if she can call in right about then. She's been trying to call, but because we've had Mike on the line, I think she can't get in through that line.
He would be able to see if somebody else was calling.
He can, okay. So if she can call in.
You have that dial front. If
Yep.
it's blinking the second line.
Yep.
Like it would have been her.
That'd be her.
I don't know.
So it's 442-1680. You know, like that's the number here. Yeah. 442-1680.
We'll try to call her again one more time.
Okay, and try to get her in that way. Sounds good. Mike is calling me right now, so we must have lost Mike.
Yeah, lost
1 minute. Is Mike called back yet?
No.
Okay, he's trying to call me.
What's his number?
Mike's?
Yeah.
We have 25 seconds.
Oh, he's calling now.
He is calling? Okay.
Looks like it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll go in there around 55.
20 seconds out. We'll be back. Sorry about that, Mike. We lost you again.
He's not on it.
Wasn't it on? Okay.
When that.
Hang on.
Giving you the inside story of business leaders in the Valley and beyond. This is Business Leaders with Lance Cardoza.
Welcome back, everybody. Mike Sinor on the line. We've been talking about being a professional winemaker for Ancient Peaks and also owning your own winery as well. And you didn't start off that way. You wanted to be a high school teacher, and you found your way from going to Cal Poly into this business that you're very passionate about. I can tell by having you on the phone here talking about it. How you must have had many mentors along the way, Mike, that molded you into what you've become in this business and what you're doing and having this passion. Can you talk to me about that?
For sure. I'm indebted to a lot of people. Some of them are some of my closest friends today, which is a wonderful feeling. Early on, it was small brands in the Edna Valley, like Sausalito Canyon, Claiborne and Churchill, Chamoisol. They were owned by it was owned by a husband and wife, and they had a couple of kids. And I thought, man, that's what I want to do. That was really my early spark and fire. And then, but once I started studying this business, I realized our business it's very important who you work for. It's like being a chef in cuisine. You've got to, hey, I worked for Vartanian and Vintage Press. That's an impressive on a resume. And so I worked really hard to get a job, and got a job with Robert Mondavi Winery down in Santa Maria.
Got it.
And that was a great stepping stone. Once I stepped into that company, and I made it, my intention was very clear as I was 24 years old, and said, hey man, I'm here to learn. I'd rather have, and again, I just had a certain drive to myself, but I told my boss, I'd rather have experience than money.
Yeah.
And he says, really? And I turned down bonuses, but on the back end, I said, look, if you're going to give me $500 or $100, double it, but let me use that to buy books or go back to school for winemaking or send me to France. I actually went to Europe 3 times with that company because I knew how passionate I was about winemaking. And so they took, I went to France with Tim Mondavi. And so, that was my thing. And having a mentor, like his name is Byron Ken Brown, and Tim Mondavi was really huge for my early career.
So, and again, when I go back and reflect with young people, it's when you put yourself out there and you say, it's almost at times too, when you have a job that's not the job that you want. I always tell you, you're being paid to go to school. You're learning something today. So when that opportunity clock wakes you up in the morning, you're going out and collecting every opportunity of that day. And it doesn't matter if you're at Taco Bell or whatever you're doing, it's going to help mold who you become and what you're doing in business. So you took that same thing and you went out there where you were passionate. They saw your passion. They got behind you. And that says volumes for a business when they find somebody like that. So that's pretty awesome that you had that opportunity. And
sure.
Mike, what do you see in the future of this business of wine? How is the business? What's the forecast look like for the future of wine?
It's good. It's our business is it's an interesting business in terms of like tiny, small artisan brands versus big commodity brands, and they're almost like different industries. But it's a bright future. I love where we're going. People are. I'm on the radio with you talking about wine. That didn't on a business station in Fresno. That did not happen 15, 20 years ago. Wines were still made back then, but now there's a global consciousness. You can't watch a sitcom without somebody having a label shot and enjoying Pinot Noir now. And national Ford commercials have oak barrels in the back of their truck to make it look romantic. 25 years ago, it was unheard of.
Yeah.
So there's a global consciousness, not just here in California, Paso Robles. I'm talking South Africa. I'm talking about Argentina. I'm talking about China. They're enjoying wine like never before, and so it's exciting.
Do you think also, too, part of the experience, like you were talking about, zip lines? You have zip lines over at Ancient Peaks in the tasting room and the whole experience. Do you think the experience, I think ag and farmers are seeing that, too. They're creating these experiences.
Without a doubt, and that's what when we started, and again, it was probably 8-9 years ago with the zip lines. That was our intention, because as agrarians, we very often forget about, we've got to promote ourselves, and the San Joaquin does a pretty good job, but, we really look to Europe in terms of agroturismo, and that's, we got to stand up and say, man, check out my milk in Tulare, check out my strawberries in Santa Maria, and so that's what's happening today. Is there's a shift. Back when I got started, 20 whatever years ago, if you made good wine,
what was that again?
you could be successstart
Was that 20 years ago?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of, now it's like, it used to be fun, but now I'm like, damn, that's a long time. But so that you just made good wine and you were successful. Today, you have to have good wine, good messaging. You have to pay your people well. You have to be honorable in what you do in the environmental perspective. You have to be hitting on all cylinders, because this business attracts more billionaires than most well drilling companies, or brake changing companies. People come in this business every day who do not require a profit. They're trying to balance their portfolios. I can name 5 right now in Paso Robles. It just started. And if they spend $40 million, then that's a good thing, because they've got to balance their portfolios. So that puts a different playing field in our business that wasn't here 25 years ago.
Do you feel in your upbringing, if you will, in wine, was there ever a point, we got about a minute here, and then I'm going to have someone on from Children's Hospital, but did you feel a point where you thought, am I cut up to do this, or was it destined?
It was destiny for sure. I mean, but I've had my low points, man. I mean, last year was pretty rough for me personally. I had a tough year. We bought this ranch. We have not taken a dollar. I haven't taken a dollar out of my company in 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years. But yeah, I bought 100 acres in Avila Beach, so it's a real estate situation. But no, I have challenges. I wake up with big challenges, but it's something I love. I have a healthy family. My kids are healthy. I live at the beach. My wife, married 22 years. I love what I do. Come on, Bill Gates, he just got more problems than me. That's it. I feel pretty good about what I've got going on.
We were going to bring somebody on with Children's Hospital, but it looks like they're so busy out there right now. But it's comforting at times, and it's hard because we all deal with this. We're in the trenches daily, but it's comforting to other business people when they hear that it's just not everything rosy. It's not all perfect. We get up to play the game on a daily basis. It's a grind, and you have to eat, and you have to feed your family, and you have to grow business. So at times it is comforting to hear other people that they're in the trenches too. It's okay that not everything is perfect in business, especially in the state of California. It's tough doing business. But if you're passionate about something and you want it that much or that much more than the next guy or the next woman, that you're ready to jump out of bed and go do it because you just love it.
Exactly. Let's search for that experience, and you'll win in the end.
And you win the end. Is something about yourself that maybe your closest friends, Mike, we like to do this on the show. It's a way to create connections, we find at times. Something about yourself that someone doesn't know about you. It's maybe a passion. It's something about you that you would share that maybe your wife knows, but no one else goes, oh, hey, I do that too. And they can come up and shake your hand and say, we have something in common. What would that be, Mike? And I put you on the spot here.
Oh my gosh, that's a fun one, dude. Lance, that's a great line of questioning. I don't know. I mean, I definitely, I can't think of something that's kind of, in winemaking, we lead in this day and age, it's such a public life with social media. You know, I'm trying to think of something down low. You know, it seems like it's all exposed in life right now. You know,
it's all out there, and it could be golfing, it could be whatever it is. A lot of times, people say, I think the funnest one I ever had is I had somebody that said, it was Kristen. I'm trying to think of what her name is. She runs a Terry's house. She said, "I love Newcastle hamburgers." And if you ask my husband, he would tell you that I have to buy them out of the freezer at Costco and get those Newcastles. So there's always something out there in common. But a lot of us, we're open book. We're out there to the world and through social, like you're saying, and marketing. And Mike, thank you for being on the program. I really appreciate it.
Oh, Lance, it's an honor to call on your wonderful show, and I really appreciate you sharing the Ancient Peak story, the Sinor-LaVallee story, and I look forward to meeting any of your listeners over here on the coast. Come to the coast, enjoy some wine, and let's have a good time.
Tell them the Business Leaders Live sent you, and they can find you on the website. We got about 30 seconds here.
Yeah. Our website is ancientpeaks.com and Sinor-LaVallee.com. Ancient Peaks is open 7 days a week. Sinor-LaVallee is in Avila Beach, 1 block from the ocean, and we're open 5 days a week, closed on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So,
Mike Sinor, you can find us. Appreciate it. Winemaker, Ancient Peaks, one of my favorites, and I'll be getting over there soon. Thank you for being on Business Leaders Live. That's all the time we have. Next Tuesday at 9 a.m., join us right here. Mike, if you're still there, I don't know. Nope, you're gone. He's gone. We survived.
Oh, no, she didn't pick up, so.